Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer? Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now, during our Veterans Day sale, save 40% on the Sleep Number Special Edition smart bed, plus free home delivery with any base. Ends Monday. To learn more, go to sleepnumber.com.
In Louisiana, a high school senior is arrested after extorting child porn from kids on social media.
Nice.
In Texas, a man is arrested in a road rage incident in which he crashed into a vehicle 5 times. And in Arizona, a man is sentenced to life for burying his wife alive.
There you go.
These stories and more coming at you today, Friday, May 24th. On Real Life Real Crime Daily, and I'm Jim Chapman.
I'm Woody Everton, and it's Friday.
Finally Friday.
Long holiday weekend. I know most of y'all are heading to the beach for the first time this year, getting out of town. So we'll give you some entertainment to listen to on your drive.
That's right.
And Memorial Day, y'all, that's not Veterans Day. Memorial Day is 1,000% about the men and women of our armed forces who died in service of their country, so we could be doing this podcast.
That's right. Remembering those that gave all, as they say.
All give some give all. And, I know there'll be a lot of celebrations going on. It's a big barbecue time and all that. And I'm sure we'll be partaking in that in downtown Baton Rouge. They always have like the reenactment with U.S. kid. They did on the 4th of July too, but they'll have fireworks and stuff like that. And the O'Hara's Irish Pub right there in the middle of it be open. Go get you a cold beer.
A very cold,
right?
Very cold beer.
But shout out to all veterans, but especially those who died for our country.
That's right. And so we can do what we do right now.
That's exactly right. Freedom of speech.
Beautiful.
And let's lay down some freedom of speech. We can get down to true crime time for Friday.
All right, and we're going to go to Livingston Parish, Louisiana, the LP.
Right where we are.
Right where we are. An 18-year-old from Denham Springs.
Right where we are.
Right where we are is behind bars after he used social media to extort child pornography from kids in several states. According to the Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office, authorities arrested Glenn Walter, 18, on several charges, including indecent behavior with a juvenile and pornography involving juveniles. The Walcott County Police Department in Connecticut tipped off LPSO's Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force in early April about an incident involving indecent behavior with juveniles with a suspect possibly from Livingston Parish. Sheriff Jason Ard said Walter, a resident of Denham Springs, was identified as a suspect during the investigation. Upon further investigation, it was learned Glenn was extorting child pornography from children 12 to 13 years old on social media, said Sheriff Ard. The victims in this case span 7 other states with a total of 10 child victims ages 12 to 13 years old. Officials state Walter was booked into the LPSO detention center on the following charges: 3 counts of computer-aided solicitation of a minor, 4 counts of indecent behavior with a juvenile, 7 counts of possession of pornography, and a count of possession of child pornography involving juveniles, and then it has extortion in parentheses. This is an ongoing investigation. What's mind-blowing about this is this kid was still in high school.
Yeah.
He's a high school senior.
Where do you learn that?
And he's extorting child, these 12 and 13 years old, 13-year-olds, getting nude pictures of them, and then I guess extorting money from them or threatening them with them.
With something, making them send more. I don't know. But each time he sent an image, from wherever if it's from Denham Springs, there is a minimum 2 years that he'll get for each charge in Denham Springs, and then wherever it went, there's a minimum 2 years that he's going to get on that end.
Yeah.
So it's really 4 years at a minimum for each charge, but then he's got the indecent behaviors and all that stuff. There's going to be some federal charges mixed in with that. I'm more surprised.
He's in a bind.
Yeah, I'm more surprised that the Attorney General's task force wasn't in on that. They most time they prosecute these cases. They're very, very good at it. I've gone up against them before, and I certainly have helped them before in cases. But so what happened is they got these different groups online that they're public citizens, and they monitor this shit, and they have so many millions of different images of child porn that are flagged, and whenever it's run wherever, they can flag it, and they'll send it to law enforcement authorities in that area and say, hey, this is child porn, and then the cops get the IP address, which these people provide, and then they start verifying who was there, and you got to be able to say, yeah, this computer was in this dude's room, like
right.
It wasn't his mama doing it or his next door neighbor sneaking over at night and shit like that. But you know what? 18 years old, it makes you think it's a learned behavior.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he was offended against himself when he was younger or something. I don't know what turns an 18-year-old into a pedophile. And
then, several states. This wasn't just somebody he knew in his local high school.
Right. He's probably fishing, fishing and sending out stuff, and it only takes one.
Only takes one
to get his rocks off.
Yep.
And fuck him. He's going to get his time. And
he's going to get a lot of time. And at 18, geez, man, you already ruined your life.
Yep, that is absolutely true. And he's never going to get married like this next guy I'm going to tell you about.
Oh.
In Prescott, Arizona, a man was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole after pleading guilty to murdering his wife by burying her alive.
Oh, no.
Now,
one of the worst ways you could go.
I was thinking burning would be really bad and shit, but being buried alive and suffocating under the dirt, fuck that.
Yeah, that's like drowning.
It's like during Katrina and all those attics when the water kept running up and people got in their attics and the water kept coming up, they would find claw marks where they actually try to, broke their fingernails trying to claw out to get a hole in the roof. They're just horrible. But the Yavapai County Attorney Dennis McGrain said 62-year-old David Michael Pagnano was sentenced to spend the rest of his life in prison for the murder of his wife, who was 39 years old at the time, y'all, and her name was Sandra Pagnano. It's Pagnino. But she was buried alive in a hand-dug grave near their home. Bro, you know how long it takes to dig a fucking grave?
A while.
You know how long it takes to dig a grave by hand? A whole fucking lot longer.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah, it ain't a 1 hour job. 6 feet?
Exactly. The prosecutor says, my office pursued the death penalty in this case because of the horrific circumstances surrounding the abduction and murder of the young mother. This was according to the prosecutor, McGrain. Sandra disappeared while in the process of divorcing her husband in May of 2017. So what, 5 years ago? No, 7 years ago. And while the two were separated, they lived in the same home with their two young daughters, right? It just gets more offensive. So and this is where, again, we need Cheryl Reed. The Yavapai County Sheriff's Office began investigating the circumstances of Sandra's suspicious disappearance, leading to a massive manhunt, right? So they're not digging. They're looking everywhere for her, checking credit cards and everything else. And guess what happened? Her body was found bound and gagged in packing tape in a hand-dug grave in a remote area near Prescott, Arizona.
Jesus Christ.
Guess what? It gets worse. So they find her, they get her out, they unwrap her for the autopsy, and the medical examiner says, boys, she was buried alive. Which means, they can tell, right? It's just unbelievable. The evidence revealed she was vigorously struggling while she was in the grave and was likely conscious for up to 5 minutes after being buried.
Oh, my
McGrain
gosh.
said. The detectives conducting the investigation discovered 2 notes filed in the divorce proceedings after Sandra disappeared, which she had written. The letter stated Sandra was leaving and handing David the vehicles, house, and custody of their children. So she was splitting, right? Forensic specialists examined the letters, and they were ultimately found to have been written by Sandra. Of course, you make sure it's not a fake, right? But additional evidence presented included cell phone data that showed David was in the vicinity of the grave site where his wife was found just days before her death, as well as on the night she went missing. So I guess he went out and had found the spot to hand dig the grave. McGrain said that Pagnano pleaded guilty to murder on the night before his trial was expected to begin, putting the sentencing decision in the hands of the judge. Well, you know why? That bitch was about to get the death penalty, and he knew it, right? But if you plead guilty, there's no appeals. So David was sentenced to life in prison for murder, as well as an additional 16 and a half years for kidnapping, forgery, and fraud. I hope the life sentence brings some closure to the victim's family, McGrain said. I want to be clear that my office will vigorously prosecute anyone who commits a violent crime in Yavapai County, and we will continue to pursue the death penalty in the appropriate cases, right? And this came from Fox News, but we talk about all kinds of level of depravity, and people kill their spouses and all that shit, and divorces, y'all. I don't understand why people kill them, but then you wrap her in duct tape, not even duct tape, packing tape, that clear shit, wrap her.
Yeah, make her suffer.
Put her in the thing and then bury her alive. Yeah. 5 minutes of choking to death.
Jesus Christ.
And that's the daddy of your children. There you have it. I don't know.
And it's a crime of passion, and you usually see a lot of suffering in those type of instances.
That's true.
There's a lot of feelings involved.
I don't know if anything more personal. When you strangle someone, that's about. I thought that was as personal as you can get. When you wrap somebody up in package tape and put them in a hole and then bury them, they can feel the dirt coming down on them.
The weight,
the pure
weight
terror,
of the dirt,
bizarre.
Well, we're gonna go to Texas and look. Got a lot of
shout out to Leah Marie.
Texas. Yes,
sends all the stories all the time, and
she's awesome.
She is awesome. She's amazing.
So road rage, we talk about that pretty often, and it seems like every year it gets worse and worse.
I think as the respect for life goes down, people act more stupid.
Yeah. Well, this is a good example of that. A man in Austin, Texas, rammed his car into another car carrying a family of 5 before driving away and crashing into a utility pole in North Austin. On Monday, officers with the Austin Police Department responded to a vehicle collision after receiving a 911 call. The caller said that the driver of a white Honda rear-ended a blue Honda. The driver of the white Honda continued to aggressively ram into the blue Honda 5 times before driving off. That's one, hit, back up, hit, back up. Now there's a family of 5 in this vehicle. Yeah. There's kids in there, right?
Right.
So an officer, the caller reported this, and an officer saw the driver, identified as 34-year-old Carl Pearson, walk away from the pole that he had just collided with as he was hauling ass down the street. The officers got out of her vehicle and told Pearson to stop walking. He turned around, saw the officer, and turned back around and continued to rapidly walk away from her. So the officer deployed her taser on Pearson after he failed to comply with her orders, but it was ineffective. Pearson then threw his phone on the ground, stepped toward the officer, and lay down on the ground. Pearson refused to comply with the officer's orders to turn on his stomach. Another officer arrived at the scene, and the 2 officers together were able to turn Pearson on his stomach and detain him with handcuffs. A witness told the officers that he saw Pearson's car collide with the blue Honda. Pearson then exited his car, began to scream and yell at the driver of the blue Honda before getting back in his car and ramming it an additional 4 times. The witness said that it was as if Pearson wanted to push the blue Honda off the road.
Right.
The witness said Pearson almost hit a school bus when he drove off. A mother and her 4 children were in the blue Honda, and all 5 passengers were injured.
Imagine.
Pearson was charged with accident involving injury and evading arrest and booked into the Travis County Jail. Austin Fox 7 reported this, and just another example of stupidity via road rage.
It just, I don't understand what you're thinking. Yeah. My brother called me one time. He was driving back to Texas, and he was like all shaken up and stuff. He said, "I just pulled my pistol on a guy in the road rage." And I said, "And how that will fucking work out for you?"
Yeah.
I said, and it was like, "Well, he was tailgating me, and I brake checked him." I said, "Why the fuck would you do that? Pull the fuck over and let him pass you." Yeah, I mean, because you don't know who the fuck you're dealing with back there. That dude could be having a really bad day, you know. And after I fussed at him, he hung up on me. But spark something uncommon this holiday with just the right gift from Uncommon Goods. The busy holiday season is here, and Uncommon Goods makes it less stressful with incredible hand-picked gifts for everyone on your list, all in one spot. Gifts to spark joy, wonder, delight, and that's exactly what I wanted feeling. Hey, y'all, I ordered a super cool piece. It's a candle with a sculpture of an LSU's Tiger Stadium on top of it. And each officially licensed laser cut wooden replica features up to 4 layers of detail, creating a bird's eye view of a specific football field, seating section, and more. And every label includes your stadium's name, the team's logo, and school location. And it has a coconut, soy, vegan wax infused with sandalwood smell that creates tailgates and touchdowns scent profile, reminiscent of game day. It's invigorating like fresh cut grass and nostalgic like smoke from a pre-game grill, and calming like the crisp autumn air of a new semester on campus. Y'all, I love it. I have it at the base of my TV, and I'm ready to watch the Tigers play on Saturday night, right? Uncommon Goods. Look, when you shop at Uncommon Goods, you're supporting artists and small independent businesses. And many of their handcrafted products are made in small batches. So shop now before they sell out this holiday season. Uncommon Goods looks for products that are high quality, unique, and often handmade or made in the U.S. They have the most meaningful, out of the ordinary gifts anywhere. They even have gifts you can personalize. From holiday hosts and hostess gift to the coolest finds for kids, to hits for everyone from the book lovers to diehard sports fans. Uncommon Goods has something for everyone, not the same old selections you can just find anywhere. And with every purchase you make at Uncommon Goods, they give $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice. They've donated more than $3 million to date. So to get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/RLRC. That's uncommongoods.com/RLRC for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods, we're all out of the ordinary. Hey ladies, are you feeling overwhelmed by hormonal changes? Well, you're definitely not alone. There are more than 1,000 hormone disruptors living in our environment right now. It's in your food, your water, the air you breathe, the clothes you wear, your skincare products. They all mess with your hormones. Then there's the natural hormone changes your body goes through, premenopause, menopause. And while it's a natural process, it doesn't mean you have to suffer through it. The good news is you don't have to suffer through it anymore, because now you have Hormone Harmony, a formula made only with herbal ingredients that are shown to reduce hormonal symptoms in women of all ages. Hormone Harmony is not just a hormone support and supplement. It's become a phenomenon. Women can't stop talking about it on social media. A bottle of Hormone Harmony is sold every 24 seconds. And the biggest benefit? Well, my wife says it makes her feel like her own self again. And that's what women mention over and over in the reviews. And there are over 30,000 reviews for Hormone Harmony. And for a limited time, you can get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Just use code RLRC at checkout. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC for 15% off today. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC. I wasn't going to do this, but when you're talking about Austin PD, look, I got some really great friends there, y'all, and it's one of the highest paid police departments in the United States. And what we haven't talked about in a while is Lady Bird Lake.
Yeah,
remember?
We have
The
not
serial
talked.
killers,
Oh, yeah.
right? And all the people done. So this is pretty fresh on April the 23rd of 2024. This came out, and I'm going to read this. This is from the Daily Mail, y'all, but I'm going to touch on different stuff. So there's a Texas bartender says the killer told him how he targeted gay men on Rainy Street and dumped them in the river, then vanished, right? So 12 bodies have been found in Lady Bird Lake and the Colorado River, y'all, they run together, since 2022, and police still insist there's no serial killer, but the mounting bodies sees.
That seems like a lot of bodies.
Well, you know where they're at in Rain Street and 6th Street and all. That's where all the bars
and
are
it's
at.
all males.
It's like, yep. And
I believe
the people go down there to get hammered, right? And so that you take advantage of them. But the bartender said the patron confessed to killing people there, but he could be lying. So the bartender on Austin's famous entertainment strip has claimed a patron told him he was the rumored Rainy Street Ripper, killing homos in a nearby waterway. Now, y'all, that's we are absolutely just reporting this. That's what they said. We don't care what your sexual orientation is. We love you. But locals have for 1 year feared a serial killer was on the loose as a dozen bodies were pulled from the Colorado River and Lady Bird Lake nearby. 2 more were found in the past 2 weeks. Now, this is in April, y'all, both of which are not yet identified. But like all but one of the others, they were ruled not suspicious. I mean, what the fuck? They think they got typhoons in the Colorado River and the lake? Maybe they're trying not to tip their hand. I don't know.
That seems like a lot. A big body count. Right?
But the police insist there is no killer at large, but rumors of a Rainy Street Ripper have continued to swirl as bodies pile up. Well, guess what? They're going to continue to swirl because that's what rumors do. But one unnamed bartender believes that the supposed killer or someone falsely claiming to be confessed to the crime while he told the bartender why Bobby was knocking back beers at the bar last month, right? And he wrote on social media that the regular customer was chatting with him and suddenly started talking about killing homos from the Lady Bird Lake that he found from Rainy Street. He was clearly angry and was saying it in a low voice. But I know what I heard. Do people lie about these things? That's the man who did not say what institution he worked at added that the confession came after the bartender mentioned being interested in swimming in the lake. According to the bartender, the patron was described as a white man in his 40s, about 5'10", with a muscular build, brownish light hair, facial hair, which he acknowledged, that description fits a lot of people, y'all. The bartender called Austin PD and left a voicemail on the homicide tip line, which they said was never followed up on. And he planned to go in and make the statement in person. Bar management appeared uninterested in looking into the incident either. And this is according to the bartender, y'all. The first of the most recent bodies was found under the South 1st Street Bridge on April the 9th and was described as a cardiac arrest style event. However, police continued to probe the death. Then just 5 days later, a fisherman called in a report of another corpse near the 515 South Pleasant Valley Road. The death was not being investigated as a homicide. Cops ruled out foul play, and some of the deaths connected to the reservoir, stating they are most likely accidental drownings due to the lake's proximity to popular nightclub spots. Now look, fucking Bourbon Street's got surrounded by the Mississippi River. You don't hear about people drowning.
No.
They did every day, 12 or 13 of them in this short span of time.
But, and a lot more people probably go to Bourbon Street. I
Right,
mean, that
exactly.
your likelihood of it happening is
Yeah.
probably higher.
Yeah, well, some of the victims, y'all, include Ricky Parks, 59, whose body was first found in July 2022, and he's thought to have drowned, according to cops. The deaths of Christopher Gutierrez, Cal Thornton, who's 56, and Christopher Hayes Clark, 30, were also not deemed suspicious. Well, that's a lot of deaths. Two of the deceased, Jason John, who's 30, and Jonathan Honey, 33, were deemed to have drowned accidentally. Okay. Both men were last seen on Rainy Street. And one man, Jose Moreno, was shot while driving and his vehicle plunged into the reservoir, cops said. And the death of Clifton Axtell, 46, who was found in March of 2023, was ruled as undetermined. The remaining bodies were not being investigated as homicides. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Well, another local bartender told the U.S. Sun that she had a hard time accepting that there was not something more sinister at play. The amount of people who have been found dead is huge, she said. We now have police patrols on the street pretty regularly. It's an odd place for people to go, too. I find it hard to see how people could leave Rainy and end up at the lake. You have to walk blocks to get there. Last year, the city of Austin increased safety measures, including lighting and fencing around the lake. Okay. Well, the city was also considered stationing park rangers around the water, as well as more surveillance cameras. Well, surveillance cameras are cheap. Former Austin Police Department Forensic Director Mark Gillespie previously stressed in an interview with KVUE that the public should believe the police when they say there's no foul play. They're looking for foul play, and so when APD comes out with a statement that at the current time they don't suspect foul play, I promise you they were looking for it, and they were looking for very hard. So I respect that, he said. Anyway, it just goes on and on about the deaths and the conspiracies, y'all. And I think it's strange. I don't believe there's such a thing as that many coincidences. But that's, I mean,
it's hard for me.
There's a good bunch of guys. They're highly trained and all that, but I don't know at what point you come to it's a tourism dollar, because that's where it's at in Austin. And I mean, I remember I lived there when I went to polygraph school, and I'd go back for 2 weeks every year. I mean, it's a happening deal.
Yeah.
That's nothing but bar rooms. It's just like,
and it's growing.
Bourbon Street, Bill Street, or 3rd Street in Baton Rouge. It's huge. Even Joe Rogan's moving there now, right?
That's right. Big podcast, hotbed for, I believe, the richest man in the world has a plant there or something for vehicles.
Elon?
Elon.
Yeah.
I think he lives in Austin.
A lot of people are moving there, evidently. And you know what? It's a really cool city.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite cities in the United States.
Yeah. Well, we bring these stories to you, not necessarily frequently, but I like to bring them, and that is these cold cases that get solved via DNA.
Right.
And most times suspects get identified and arrested off of the advancements in technology with DNA. I'm going to bring you one here. This is from Polk County.
Sheriff Grady Judge.
That's right. On May 17th, 1972, deputies responded to a field near a canal after a fisherman found possible dead body. I don't know.
Right.
I mean, maybe he didn't check, and he's just like, I think someone's dead.
Or something like that.
Strange how that. The sheriff's office said the victim appeared to be a white man in his 40s or 50s, and he was in advanced stages of decomposition. Investigators didn't see any identifying features or belongings on the body, but they believed he was shot twice in the head. They did find a light-colored shirt, dark trousers, and leather shoes nearby. Investigators had no leads or witnesses, and the case went cold. The unidentified victim was buried at a local cemetery. According to the sheriff's office, Charles Williams, an inmate at Florida State Prison, reached out to Polk County investigators in 1974, and he reportedly said he was in Rayford Prison when Clarence Ingram and Edgar Todd told him they met a victim in a bar in Winter Haven, Florida, and left in the victim's vehicle. Ingram and Todd reportedly told Williams they argued, and Todd shot the victim twice in the head. Ingram and Todd said they dumped his body near a canal before removing his wallet and rings, and they reportedly left him there so the turtles would eat him.
Right. I'll take care of it.
Todd and Ingram told Williams they sold the victim's vehicle in Michigan for $500 and that it had a Georgia license plate. The two also sold the victim's tools. Despite that information, the case remained unsolved. In February of 2017, the sheriff's office said officials exhumed the victim's body and extracted his DNA. They entered the information into CODIS, but there were no matches. Then, in November of 2023, investigators submitted a portion of the victim's femur bone to a forensic genealogy clinic. As a result, in April of 2024, Ortham, which is that clinic, identified the victim as Mac Proctor. Yep. And you know something about Ortham?
I did get that one last week. One of the daily shows, I had another body from the early 70s, and they couldn't do anything about it, or they didn't have any ID, and they ended up sending it to Ortham Labs, and they were able to do the familial genealogy to not only identify who she was, but check it out. The guy that killed her, dating her at the time, he had been sentenced to life without in Georgia for another murder after she was murdered, and he ended up dying in prison.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. So Ortham Labs is getting it fucking done.
They're getting it done.
And shout out to Sheriff Grady and them for taking the time and being proactive to send these things out to these labs.
100%. So the sheriff's office at this point, they contact Proctor's son, Wright Proctor in Georgia. The son didn't know much about his father, but said he drank a lot, worked as a mechanic, and moved around often. Mac Proctor was reportedly last seen by relatives between 1969 and 1972 in Georgia, but they never reported him missing. Yep. Investigators compared Wright Proctor's DNA to the victim's and confirmed it was a match. According to the sheriff's office, the suspects are both deceased.
Yep. That happens. That's so many times. As soon as you start, they're gone from the 70s. I'm thinking, most of the time the bad people were in their 20s or 30s, and I'm 54. They're dead.
Well, Todd died in 2015, and Ingram died in 1995. Ingram's brother, who purchased some of the victim's tools, died in 2003. Further investigation revealed Ingram received a traffic citation 8 days after Proctor's body was found in Michigan. Yeah. Ingram has also been convicted of a homicide in Lake County in 1973 in a separate case. So it looks like, they definitely solved this one. Just sadly, those guys never had to, I guess, pay for that crime as they are deceased now. Shout out to True Crime
Hell, and shout out to the sheriff for, hey, you know what, y'all, DNA is expensive as fuck. And for these sheriffs to, obviously they probably have cold case units, and the guys are like, first of all, we got to find out if we have any evidence left that could be tested. Yeah. And, they tried to run in CODIS way back when. Well, back then, when these assholes were alive, you got arrested. They didn't take DNA swabs. DNA didn't exist. Yeah. And so they got away with it for all those years. But think about this. And I think about Miss Courtney's mama, Miss Stephanie, after 19 years, that although she had Courtney's body, but being able to bring your loved one home. Like the little girl last week that I did, she was originally from like New Jersey or somewhere, and they dumped her in a swamp somewhere down in Florida. So the families get not closure, but they get their loved one back, and they get them identified. Devil can deal with those other assholes.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
It's crazy.
Absolutely.
Yes, indeed. Wortham Labs. Hey, if you're from Wortham Labs and you're listening, man, we would love to have y'all on one day. Tell us some of the crazy shit that you solved, because that seems like every time I read one, it's y'all that are doing it. So y'all talking about decomposing bodies. Let's talk about Unfiltered with Karen. Now, Karen Chawla is absolutely one of our besties. Jim produces our show, Louisiana Unfiltered, which is her podcast, but she also has the Unfiltered with Karen, and that's like YouTube and all that, right?
Yep, that's her kind of like her news blog.
But see, I've known her forever, even when I was back in law enforcement, and she was a cub reporter and stuff like that, and I've been on her show, and she's been on mine. Great lady. The absolute one of the best investigative journalists
period
that I've
in the country.
ever known. And
Fearless.
she's won awards and everything else, rightfully so. But let's bring it back home to Baton Rouge, y'all. In Baton Rouge, police officers responded to a home on Voss Drive. And guess what they found, Jim Chapman?
What'd they find?
A decomposing body.
Oh.
And Karen learned this. So it was just before 10 p.m. on Saturday, May the 18th. Shit, I was down there. 2024, when officers were called out to the 2900 block of Voss Drive in Baton Rouge. Now, that's off Winmore Avenue near Foster Drive, y'all. And that is probably about 10, 15 miles from downtown. Pretty rough neighborhood. And I actually drove through that on the way back home after a Harris pub on Saturday. Well, not Saturday night. It was Sunday when I drove by. But inside the home, sources told Karen a person's decomposing body was found on the floor. Now, an autopsy will now have to determine the exact cause and manner of death. And depending on the decomposition, the coroner's office may have to also help to identify the person. As of now, the person's identity is unknown. That tells you they're pretty messed up. This is the second decomposing body found in Baton Rouge since May the 12th, like less than a week earlier, y'all. In that case, a 37-year-old woman's body, Bridget Bootwell, was found. Further testing and analysis from the East Baton Rouge coroner's office is pending to determine the exact cause of death in her case. Now, BRPD has not released any details surrounding Bootwell's case, but a search is underway for a man believed to be her boyfriend, who's called Joseph Solar, S-O-L-A-R, or Solar. And Karen says anyone with information on Solar's whereabouts is asked to call Crime Stoppers at 344-STOP, or anyone with information on the decomposing body found on Voss Drive in BR is also asked to help officials. So
and I know a Joe Solar, but it's the same dude.
They got his picture. They got his picture on the thing.
Show me what he looks like.
It's this cat right here.
Let's see. No.
This
This guy's much older than I know, thankfully.
And that's, we talked about Lady Bird Lake and the Colorado River and all those bodies and stuff like that. This is only 2 in Baton Rouge, y'all. We're certainly not saying they're related or what have you, but 2 in a week, decomposing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what you do on that, but shout out to Karen.
Well, it sounds like they're working the investigation, how you work them from the inside out, right?
And I'm pretty sure, just my old spidey senses, that these aren't related, but still, they are what they are, 2 dead bodies.
That's it.
Hey, y'all, let me tell you about Gobble. All Gobble meal kits are pre-prepped. That means less work for you and less waste in your kitchen. Their meal kits include everything you need so you can save time at the store or just skip that trip entirely. I got the box in and I had 3 different meals. I had a Kung Pao chicken, crispy fish tacos, and a beef bourguignon, however you say it. But let me tell you about the classic beef bourguignon. Look, it came with beef pot roast and a beef broth concentrate, red wine demi-glace, cremini mushrooms, cipollone onions, mashed potatoes, baby carrots, and rosemary thyme butter. It was so easy to make. Literally like 15 minutes it took Cindy. And let me tell you something, all the dishes were fire, but this thing was like a taste explosion in my mouth. It's just unreal. We've got to spend more time together and more time doing the things we love because everything came in this one single box right to my door. So see what a difference Gobble will make for your household. Right now, they're offering my listeners a fantastic limited time deal. You get $120 off across 4 boxes plus free shipping and free cookies. And let me tell you, those cookies, I ate one that was sin baked and it was delicious. Go to gobble.com/reallife. That's GOBBLE.com/real-life for $120 off your first 4 boxes. This offer is not available on the home site, so don't miss out. This is genius. It's taste explosions in your mouth like you never had.
Build up to Black Friday with savings all month long at Lowe's. Get up to 50% off select major appliances, plus take an additional 10% off when you buy select major appliances. And don't wait to pick up holiday inflatables under $20. Don't wait to save, in-store or online now, because Lowe's knows deals. Valid 11/6 through 12/4. Cannot be combined with additional discounts. See Lowe's.com for details and qualifying items while supplies last.
So Baton Rouge Police working hard on that, and we're going to bring you a segment. Another day in crime.
Another day in crime.
May 24th.
May the 24th.
And we're going to bring you back to May 24th, 1989, in a case of the disappearance of Lori Ann Alker. Huh. Okay, so Lori Ann Alker was a 19-year-old pet shop worker. She disappeared from North Cumberland County, Pennsylvania, after failing to show up for work. Her car was found the next day in a parking lot of a mall where the pet place was located. Right. Police had no clues to what had happened to her when she arrived at the mall that morning. Robert Alker, her husband, was the natural suspect, as we just talked about. You're working from the inside out.
Right.
The two were in the midst of a custody fight.
Leans a little credibility.
At the time of her disappearance, and he had recently taken out a life insurance policy on her.
Just up the game a little bit more.
Still, even after Lori Ann's body was found with multiple stab wounds 2.5 weeks later, police did not have enough evidence to charge him with the crime. Finally, it dawned on investigators there might be some photographic evidence of the crime. A bank's automatic teller machine at the mall had a video camera, and it captured part of the parking lot where Lori Ann's car was located. However, there were some problems with that camera. First, the camera only shot a couple of frames every 10 seconds. Also, the videotape had been reused so often it was almost completely worn out.
Yeah.
So they copy over themselves, and this was a time when you actually had tapes.
Yeah, right.
FBI forensic experts carefully viewed the tape and were able to identify a single frame that captured Lori Ann getting into what was identified as a Chevrolet Celebrity made between 1982 and 1985. This was a critical piece of information because Robert Alker had been using his father's 1984 Celebrity on the day of Lori Ann's disappearance. Still, forensic scientists wanted to recreate the video scene to make sure it was the same car, but Robert Alker's father had sold the car the day after Lori Ann's disappearance. Imagine that.
Big market for Chevrolet Celebrities.
After tracking the car through several owners, investigators found the car had been bought by a Pennsylvania state trooper. Really? They managed to recreate the ATM camera video to prove to the jury that the cars were identical. Also, despite the car's many subsequent owners, hairs in the car were matched to those of Lori Ann Alker and her pet cat. Robert Alker was convicted of murder in March of 1992.
Wow.
Thank you, History Channel, for
awesome.
that.
Good work on them.
Yeah.
And then the hairs, 92, I mean, DNA was in way stages of infancy.
Way stages.
But they got it done, matching it up on a Chevrolet Celebrity. So...
Chevrolet Celebrity. I can't even picture that in my mind.
Little bitty small ones that...
was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
Probably one of the first compact cars. They answer to the it's a big deal. Like the Toyota Corolla.
Yeah,
that's when they came out, early 80s.
Yeah, they had some. Those model year cars weren't the. No, the 80s were great for music, not so great for vehicles.
Cars, yeah,
if you go back and look at vehicles,
the
at that
5.0 Mustang GT.
Oh yeah, that's one of the exceptions.
Chevrolet Camaro and the Firebird.
Yeah, the Firebird was sweet.
Yeah. But you're right. The music was the best.
Yeah, music was the best. 70s were probably the best for cars.
Yeah,
they had some muscle cars back then.
I remember. I don't know if you're probably too young. I remember being like 7 years old and having to wait in the gas station line for like hours.
During the gas crisis.
The gas cans were metal.
Yeah.
During the gas crisis. And that's when they started getting away from the muscle cars and selling the smaller ones, right? After that. So
yeah, they burn some fuel, that's for sure. But I sure
has a fun burn.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it.
Anyway, the Memorial Day, y'all.
Yes.
Remember, it's for the fallen. Veterans Day is a whole nother day. Memorial Day, y'all celebrate and enjoy it. Remember the people who died, so you could do that. It's a long holiday weekend. Holiday weekend. Good if you're a civilian. It's bad if you're a police officer.
Yeah,
I mean, you fucked. It's just a bad week.
Is it really?
4th of July. So it'd be like Memorial Day. 4th of July was really bad. 4th of July is probably the worst.
Really?
Especially when it falls like on a Monday or a Friday. They get the extra long weekend in.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's
just drunk idiots.
Oh, yeah. And by the end of the weekend, your relatives and shit that came down to party all weekend worn out their fucking welcome. Everybody spent their money drinking and got hangovers and shit show. But Memorial Day is, it starts to get hot and people are going to enjoy their libations. The only good thing about Memorial Day is most of the people are done partying by Monday because they got to go to work on Tuesday.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. Y'all have fun, enjoy it. Whatever it is that you do, I'm probably going to smoke a wild hog ham, make a pulled brisket or something.
I'm definitely doing some steaks. I might throw some steaks on there, some big, giant, thick ones.
Big old
marinate them overnight or something. Yeah, more like a roast almost.
That's what my daddy eats is 2-inch steaks. Yeah. I'm like, God damn, maybe you kill a whole cow to get this steak.
Yeah.
But y'all enjoy it and love and appreciate each and every one of you. Please continue to like and listen and share and all that stuff.
That's right. Send us your stuff. Y'all do a great job of sending us your stories that
we appreciate
you find, and we'll sure cover what we can on the show.
Send them all. We'll get them done.
That's it. Until next time, I'm Jim Chapman.
And I'm Woody Overton,
your host of Real Life, Real Crime Daily. Peace.